All right, let's talk about something that I'm sure has happened to you if you've been in crypto for any amount of time. You go to make a transaction and you're just floored by the high fee or how long you have to wait. Well, that's called the scalability problem, and it is the big one. It's what we're going to break down right now.
So, yeah, this is the question, right? It hits you right in the wallet. You're trying to do something, and suddenly the network fees are sky high, or you're just sitting there waiting. It's a super common experience, and honestly, it's probably the single biggest roadblock to getting everyone on board with crypto.
The easiest way to wrap your head around this whole thing is with an analogy. We're going to use a bunch. Just picture the main blockchain as a giant highway. Now, what happens when way too many cars try to get on it at once during rush hour? Total gridlock. Everything slows to a crawl, and the price to use a toll lane, that's your gas fee, it just goes through the roof. So, what's actually causing this epic traffic jam? Well, it all boils down to this really tricky challenge in how blockchains are designed. It's a constant balancing act between three things that are all super important. First up, security. And this one is absolutely non-negotiable. You need every single transaction to be locked down tight in a way that nobody can ever tamper with it. It has to be a fortress. Second, you've got to have decentralization. I mean, that's the whole point of crypto, right? The network is spread out over thousands of computers all over the world, so no single company or person is in charge. This makes it fair and incredibly tough to shut down. And number three, if this stuff is ever going to be used by millions and millions of people for everyday things, it needs to scale. It has to be able to handle a ton of traffic, smoothly, quickly, and without breaking a sweat. And this brings us to the real kicker, what's known as the scalability trilemma. The theory goes you can pick any two of those things we just talked about, but you can't have all three. A network can be secure and decentralized, like Bitcoin, but then it won't be scalable. So figuring out how to get all three, that's the holy grail. So how do you even begin to solve a problem like that? Well, the first approach is to go right to the source and try to improve the main highway itself. We're talking about making some fundamental changes to the blockchain's core code. And this is what we call a layer 1. A layer 1, or L1, is that base blockchain network. You know, the big names like Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's the bedrock, the ultimate source of truth, where every transaction is eventually finalized and secured. The way L1s try to get faster involves some really deep, heavy-duty upgrades. Using our highway analogy, one way is like swapping out the engine in every single car. So moving from a system like proof of work to a much more efficient one like proof of stake. Another idea is to literally add more lanes to the highway through something called sharding, which just splits the traffic up. Okay, but what if you didn't have to do a massive, complicated project to rebuild the whole highway? What if you could just build a super fast express lane that kind of hovers right over the top of it? Well, that's pretty much exactly what a layer 2 is. It's a whole other network that's built to run right on top of a layer 1. Its entire purpose in life is to pull tons of that transaction traffic off the main congested highway. So here's the brilliant part. Layer 2s take thousands of transactions and bundle them all up off the main chain. They process them super fast and for next to nothing. Then they just send one single tiny summary of all that activity back down to the layer 1. So they do all the heavy lifting in the fast lane, but still use the main highway's incredible security to make it all official. So let's put these two side by side. It's not really about which one's better. It's about understanding that they're just two different ways of thinking about how to solve the exact same traffic problem. And this is really the key difference in philosophy, you know? The layer 1 approach is all about changing the foundation itself, focusing on that core security and decentralization. The layer 2 approach, though, says, hey, the foundation is great. Let's just build a high-speed system on top of it, focusing like a laser on speed and, most importantly, cost. Okay, I know this can all sound a little bit in the weeds, but this is where it gets real. This stuff has a massive impact on you, the user. It's not just theory, it changes what you can do and how much you have to pay for it. Let's just look at the raw numbers. We'll use the Ethereum mainnet as our layer 1 and a really popular layer 2 called Polygon as our example. And trust me, the difference is, well, it's staggering. So when the network is really busy, a single simple transaction on Ethereum layer 1 can easily cost you tens of dollars, sometimes way more. But that exact same transaction on a layer 2, we're often talking about a fraction of a penny. No, seriously, that's not a typo. We're talking about a cost reduction of more than 2,000 times. A massive drop in cost like that, plus the incredible speed boost, It's an absolute game changer for the whole space. And that efficiency is what makes everything else possible. All the cool stuff, DeFi, NFTs, blockchain gaming, none of it could really work if every single click cost you $50. This super low-cost environment is what lets thousands of apps and projects actually take off and thrive.
So, we've seen the problem, and we've seen the two main ways people are trying to fix it. What does this all mean for where blockchain is headed?
Well, it's pretty clear this isn't going to be a battle of layer 1 versus layer 2. The future is going to be multi-layered. We need both. We'll see layer 1s get even more secure and solid as a foundation, while all the layer 2s provide those fast, cheap lanes that are needed for the millions of new people pouring into the space. So this whole evolution, right, from a slow single-lane country road into this multi-layered superhighway, it's fixing one of the biggest problems blockchain has ever had. And that just leaves us with one final, really exciting question to think about. Once speed and cost aren't an issue anymore, what impossible problems will we finally be able to solve with this tech?